Hello, Viking.TV. My name is Richard Marnell. I'm coming to you from Viking's Los Angeles office. I've been with Viking since 2007. I work in the marketing department. And I'm uniquely qualified to bring you this itinerary today as I'm a Bostonian by birth, and I have been married to a Canadian since 1996 who is from Montreal. Now, Bostonians typically ask, "Where are you from?" when they're referencing the city. And in my instance, I'm a St. Margaret's baby. I've lived in Somerville, Jamaica Plain, grew up in Quincy, lived in Duxbury, and also the South End. And I look forward to bringing you this itinerary today, and stay for the end, and we'll have some questions and answers. Thank you.
I'm happy to be here today to tell you more about one of our beloved North American sailings, Eastern Seaboard Explorer. Viking has created enriching itineraries to take you to some of the most scenic and historic locations in Canada and the United States. Today, we will focus on one of our signature voyages in North America called Eastern Seaboard Explorer. In 13 days, you will visit several locations in 2 countries, Canada and the US. You will explore Montreal, Quebec City, Saguenay, Gaspe, and Halifax in Canada, and Boston and New York City in the northern US, as you sail through the St. Lawrence River and the Atlantic Ocean. Now, let's look how you will travel through Canada and down east to the northern United States. And first, let's look at a video of this itinerary.
The vibrant landscapes, intriguing ports, and rugged coastlines of eastern Canada and New England are yours on this 13-day sailing with Viking. Begin with 2 days in Quebec's sophisticated city of Montreal, rich in European-influenced architecture and culture. From there, you'll sail to French-flavoured Quebec City, where more than 400 years of history and heritage are on display, along with natural wonders like awe-inspiring Montmorency Falls. Saguenay is home to fascinating traditional villages and the breathtaking scenery of one of the most majestic fjords on Earth. Gaspe, claimed for the French by Jacques Cartier in 1534, is one of North America's earliest European settlements. Halifax, Nova Scotia combines a fascinating seafaring culture with timeless European colonial influences. In Boston, you'll have 2 days to experience one of America's most historic destinations. Follow the Freedom Trail to explore the Old North Church, Paul Revere's home, and Boston Common. Your Viking journey ends in cosmopolitan New York, where you'll have 2 days to immerse yourself in the Big Apple, its iconic parks, landmarks, and bustling neighborhoods.
Looking at the itinerary map for a visual outline of your route, your adventure begins in Montreal, where you'll embark your ship. You will sail along the St. Lawrence River to Quebec City and Saguenay, which is difficult for a Bostonian to pronounce, before you sail through the St. Lawrence River, the Gulf of St. Lawrence, stopping at Gaspe and Halifax along the way. Once you reach the Atlantic coast, your journey will take you to Boston through the Cape Cod Canal, under the Sagamore and Bourne and railroad bridges, and finally on to New York City, where your voyage concludes. If you would like to arrive early and take in the natural beauty of Canada prior to your trip, we're delighted to share a pre-extension in Montreal, a truly delightful city and very walkable. Stay an additional 2 nights in the Canadian cultural capital and take in everything it has to offer. You can admire the cityscapes from Montreal Park, explore the shops of the Old Port, the underground city, and sample the city's fine French restaurants. And a note about the weather and when to travel. Currently, this itinerary is offered in September. Temperatures in the Northeast are usually mild during this time of year, but be sure to pack quick-drying and waterproof clothing along with layers for cooler days and nights. And it is very true in this part of the world. If you want the weather to change, just wait a minute. Now, a few words about our ocean ships. Our state-of-the-art ocean ships are elegantly designed for discovery and comfort. Each sister ship is identical, carries only 930 guests, and features all veranda staterooms, serene Scandinavian spaces, and light-filled public areas. On board, you can enjoy exceptional dining at restaurants such as Manfredi's, the Chef's Table, and an invigorating spa, a fitness center, and so much more. The ship will welcome you to relax in the spacious lounges, such as the Explorer's Lounge and the library. You can also unwind in the comfort of your stateroom and take in the unfolding scenery of the Eastern Seaboard from your private veranda. Let's talk about the Viking Way and what it means to travel with Viking throughout North America. Onshore experiences will get you closer to the history, culture, and daily life of your destinations. The Viking Way will provide you with behind-the-scenes insights and allow you to immerse yourself in the culture of each destination. Local life. These experiences provide fascinating insights that reveal the rhythms of daily living. The kitchen table is an example. Immerse yourself in local culture and cuisines as our executive chef leads you on an interactive culinary adventure. Working world. On these excursions, you will get a glimpse of the world at work, including local industries and arts and crafts. You will see and understand local people anew. In Montreal, we can learn how one of Canada's largest exports, maple syrup, is made during a visit to an authentic sugar shack. I have been there many times and it's a delight. We will have more on this later, and this is in the town that my wife grew up and is famous for locals and outsiders. Truly a special opportunity. St. Anne Canyon. Witness the dramatic workings of nature and experience local French-Canadian culture. Saguenay. Visit a small family-owned goat farm and learn how mohair wool is produced. Privileged access. Viking has arranged exclusive entry for our guests to discover local cultural treasures. These are experiences that are not open to the general public, and you will not find them through any other company. In New York City, enjoy an exclusive guided tour through the hallowed halls of the Metropolitan Museum of Art before the museum opens to the public. Now, let's explore this 13-day itinerary day by day. Welcome to Montreal, Quebec, where your voyage begins. Nestled on an island on the St. Lawrence River, Montreal is known for its old world charm, diverse culture, and French influences. You will have the afternoon free to settle into your ship or set off to explore the city on your own, perhaps going underground to experience its subterranean city, which is increasingly important in the wintertime when it becomes very, very cold, but it will be a charming place to visit in September when the temperatures have not yet dropped. This is popular with residents as well as visitors from out of town. A fantastic way to see the city of Montreal on your second day is by heading out on our Montreal Highlights tour, a shore excursion included with your Viking voyage. During this tour, you will see the highlights of the world's second largest French-speaking city. You will take a scenic drive to historic Old Town, see the Notre Dame Basilica, and take in a variety of other sites, like St. Joseph Oratory, Canada's largest church with one of the largest domes in the world. You will also see McGill University, which was established in 1821 by royal charter granted by King George IV. While you are here in Montreal, I highly recommend an optional Working World shore excursion called Sugar Shack, Dine, and Discover. On this excursion, you will learn how maple syrup is made when you visit an authentic sugar shack, Sucrerie de la Montagne. This is featured in National Geographic as the best place to enjoy the local delicacy. Sucrerie de la Montagne is an official Quebec heritage site nestled amid a 120-acre forest of century-old maples atop Mount Rigaud. I personally have been here in all 4 seasons, and it is an absolutely stunning location and a very enjoyable experience. You will enjoy a tour through the woods to see how the maple trees are tapped at the end of every winter. Then you will head inside the sugar shack, where you will learn all about how Canada's favorite sweet maple syrup is created, and then have the opportunity to try it yourself. I highly recommend the Maple Pops. Okay, now time for a short personal story. When I was 19 years old, I rode a bicycle before there was an internet from Boston to Quebec City. It took 10 days, and I slept by the side of the road, and it was an absolutely fantastic and stunning journey. Your experience will be far more enriching than mine, but it was a delightful place for a Bostonian to visit. You will enjoy Quebec City in much more comfort. Today, we will explore this European-style gem situated on the banks of the St. Lawrence River. The historic atmosphere of the city, with its cobblestone streets and centuries-old architecture, will charm you as you meander through the old town and admire the natural beauty of the surrounding area. We are proud to offer an educational shore excursion to a First Nations village, where you will learn about the history and culture of the Huron-Wendat people. You will be accompanied by a First Nations guide as you take a leisurely stroll through the village, where you will hear about the beliefs and spirituality, food-making practices, daily life and customs of this First Nations group. Our Working World excursion in Quebec invites you to discover sacred sites of worship and nature at Saguenay Canyon. A guide will accompany you to the Basilica of Saint-Anne-de-Beaupré, stunningly set on the St. Lawrence River. Admire the sanctuary's masterful paintings, mosaics, and stained glass windows. Then you will visit the magnificent Sainte Anne Falls, which have carved the spectacular Sainte Anne Canyon, take in incredible views when crossing the suspension bridges, one of which towers nearly 200 feet above the ground. After, cross the St. Lawrence River via the island of Ile d'Orleans, known as the Open Garden of Quebec due to its vast farmlands. Your last stop on this excursion will be at a local sugar shack, or cabane à sucre, where you can sample the famous maple taffy on snow. It is truly delicious. I can speak from firsthand experience. Boiled maple syrup is cooled and poured on top of clean white snow, where it hardens into a soft maple candy. The taffy is quickly rolled onto popsicle sticks to be eaten. Truly a delight. Next, you'll sail onwards to Saguenay, a quintessential Quebecois town proud of its rural roots. Saguenay was once a disparate region of boroughs and was not established as one city until 2002. It was built on a rich fur trading and timber industry that dates back centuries. While you are here, you can learn about the history of Saguenay as you enjoy a lively stage show or take part in an enriching culinary and farming experience at a family-run organic farm. If you're seeking a bit of adventure, I recommend seeing Saguenay from the sky. Experience the cherished natural beauty of the Saguenay Fjord from a soaring seaplane on our Seaplane Over the Fjord excursion. The Saguenay Fjord is one of the most southerly fjords in the Northern Hemisphere and stretches 65 miles from the Santa Rosa du Nord to the St. Lawrence River. Your seaplane will give you a stunning bird's-eye view of the scenic fjord, Cape Trinity, and Cape Eternity during your 20-minute flight. We also offer a wonderful working world shore excursion, Saguenay Highlights and Crafts, that will give you the opportunity to learn how the fjords shape this scenic region. You'll be accompanied by a local guide as you drive through the picturesque L'Abbaye before stopping at the Fjord Museum. Your tour will continue onward to a small family-owned goat farm where you will learn how mohair wool is produced, and then to the historic pulp mill and home of local barber and painter Arthur Villeneuve. Today offers an opportunity to slow down and take in your surroundings while on board the ship. As you make your way down the St. Lawrence River, you can take in a panoramic view and enjoy a cocktail in the Explorer's Lounge. Attend an illuminating enrichment lecture in the theater, or sip a cup of coffee while enjoying the scenery from your stateroom's private veranda. Sailing on, we have reached the Gaspe on day 6 of your voyage. Here you can take in the small town charm and stunning natural beauty of the peninsula, from the town of Gaspe, the cradle of French Canada, to the monolithic Percé rock. There are several shore excursions offered here that I am sure you will love. You will be greeted by breathtaking views when you visit one of Canada's most spectacular national parks, Feuillon National Park, on this included shore excursion. Here, you will see 450 million year old geological formations, colonies of seabirds, and Arctic alpine plants. You will also learn more about how humans coexisted with the natural environment during the centuries past, and visit the Micmac interpretation site of Gaspé, which is dedicated to the culture and heritage of these First Nations people. Percé is one of the most beautiful villages in Quebec that offers enchanting views of the St. Lawrence Gulf. On the Percé Town and Sea Cruise optional excursion, begin your tour with a panoramic drive located on the scenic coast of the Gaspe Peninsula. Next, you will embark on a scenic cruise around Percé Rock, one of the world's most majestic ocean rock formations. It stands proudly arching over the sea, dating back more than 400 million years. It contains 3 arches when it was originally described by the explorer Jacques Cartier in 1534. 2 have subsequently disappeared over time, and today only 1 arch remains. The outer arch can be seen as a lone column. We have reached the halfway point of your Viking journey, and you will spend today sailing the Gulf of St. Lawrence as you continue to journey along the waterways of North America. Enjoy the day on board and take advantage of the many amenities such as the infinity pool or the Nordic spa. In the evening, enjoy live music in Torshaven. Let's continue our voyage. Welcome to Halifax, Nova Scotia. This cosmopolitan capital is the site of the first permanent European settlement to the region. There are many ways to explore the area, but my personal recommendation is our included hop-on, hop-off, double-decker bus tour of the city, which will allow you to efficiently see several interesting and historic sites, including Fort George, St. Mary's Basilica, and the public gardens. Journey a little outside the city with a coastal drive to Peggy's Cove, a quaint fishing village with a seafaring heritage. Take a walking tour to see the town's colorful houses and fishing shacks and enjoy spectacular views of the rolling beaches. You may also see Peggy's Cove Lighthouse, regarded as the most photographed lighthouse in the world, as well as the unusual rock formations forged by glaciers. Day 9 will be spent cruising the scenic coast of Nova Scotia and Maine, down east. As the remaining few days of your trip will involve exploring Boston and the Big Apple, today will provide great opportunities to take advantage of our onboard amenities, indulge in luxurious treatment at the salon, or grab a workout in the fitness center. Plus, we are heading into New England, so what a better time to dine on regional specialties. Be sure to try favorites like clam chowder, or boiled lobster for dinner. Now, my New York friends used to make fun of my speech impediment, but I said that as a true Bostonian would. Today, you arrive in Boston for an overnight stay. This is the birthplace of the American Revolution, and you can see many of the nation's most historic sites right here in the city. A great way to do so is on a walking tour of the Freedom Trail, during which you will be accompanied by a local guide. You can visit Old North Church, where Paul Revere hung his telltale lantern, the Old South Meeting House, where Samuel Adams started the Boston Tea Party, the Old Corner Bookstore, where Emerson, Longfellow, and Hawthorne once gathered, and many other Revolutionary-era Boston locations. Be sure to buy some cannolis at Mike's in the North End. There's nothing like seeing Boston at night. On our Boston at Sunset and dinner excursion, you can tour the city after dark and admire the illuminated skyline on this unique driving tour. Then enjoy a delicious dinner featuring traditional New England fare at Chart House Boston, located in the Long Wharf's oldest structure. As a bit of a side note, I used to be an oyster shucker there back in the late 80s. It's a really unique place right on the harbor. After spending a half day in Boston, we will sail into Cape Cod Bay to begin a transit of the Cape Cod Canal. This century-old engineering marvel delivers you to Buzzards Bay. You may have had the opportunity to visit Cape Cod on the day prior, but if not, you can still admire the famous peninsula from the comfort of your Viking ship. Truly a unique experience. Early this morning, we have reached the iconic New York Harbor. Today will be spent exploring Manhattan. Immerse yourself in this vibrant city and enjoy touring some of its well-known landmarks, like the Empire State Building, Central Park, St. Patrick's Cathedral, the Theater District, and Times Square. Tonight, you may decide to explore the city that never sleeps on an evening tour, City Lights and Empire State Building by evening, that will give you a dazzling look at the skyline, including the opportunity to ascend the Empire State Building after the sun goes down. Truly an amazing experience. While you are here, consider taking advantage of our privileged access tour of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. This is the largest museum in the United States and houses cultural artifacts that span more than 5,000 years of human history, from classic antiquity to the present day. This tour gives you the opportunity to be escorted through the many galleries early in the morning before the museum opens to the public. This is an experience exclusively available to Viking guests and one I am so proud to recommend. To supplement your visit to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, I have a book I'd like to recommend. As a child, it was one of my favorites. It is From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler, which was published in 1967 and written by E.L. Konigsberg. Truly a delightful experience. Your journey with Viking concludes here in New York City. After breakfast on board, many of you will disembark and proceed to the airport for your return flight home. Or perhaps you've opted to continue your voyage with our post-extension package. We have a very special 2-night post-extension package in New York. You can continue your time in this evocative metropolis, trying classic foods like New York cheesecake and pizza, or visiting legendary locations like Grand Central Station and Rockefeller Center. This experience is perfect for anyone who could just not get enough of this awe-inspiring city. Thank you for joining me today on Viking.TV. This concludes our presentation. Now it's time for your questions.
Hello, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and welcome to the question and answer section of today's presentation. So I'm going to take our first question, which has just come through, and it's incredibly exciting to me because it's about one of my favorite places in the world, Cape Cod. So the question reads, how long does it take to sail through the Cape Cod Canal? And what is there to see as we pass through? Well, Now, the Cape Cod Canal is the gateway to Cape Cod, as many Eastern folks from the East will know. To go from the beginning to the end, it's about 3.5 hours on board your vessel. The canal was built in 1909 to help seafarers avoid going around Cape Cod, which can be very, very treacherous. It's about 7 miles long, and as you pass through, not only will you be very close to the land, but there is a bike path on both the east and the western shores, and folks will be riding along with bicycles, waving as they pass, and you may even see some of my family members, so please be friendly and wave. Okay, now here's a question that is close to my heart as well. I walk with a stick. Now, I don't walk with a stick, but my knees are junk. Too much hockey. Would most of the excursions on this itinerary be suitable for me? The answer is yes, but. Now, Montreal, Quebec, and Boston are old world cities, and arguably the most European of all of the North American cities that you could ever possibly go to. So, in the old parts of these cities, there are cobblestones. So it's a little bit unsure underfoot. However, there's always a safe flat sidewalk not far away, and one can easily avoid that kind of challenge. Now, I'm particularly excited about this question. I'd like to learn a bit more about Canadian history before taking this journey. Could you suggest any good books or resources for me to read, or perhaps films to watch before traveling? Now, before I get there, I love Canadians. I love my wife. I've been married to her since 1996, and I have 2 children who have Canadian-American citizenship. Very fortunate in that regard. I've spent a lot of time in Canada. There are 3 particular films that I'm going to recommend, in addition to the reading list that you can get online with us. Now, the first, and again, you've experienced my French, so apologies again, Le Grand Séduction, which is Seducing Dr. Lewis. This is a Quebec comedy that was filmed in 2003, filmed at a place that you're going to pass by on this journey. It's a fishing village called Harrington Harbor, and it is an absolutely delightful, delightful film. I highly recommend it. That's the first. The second is Bon Cop, Good Cop. Now, this one I personally loved as well, and it's also a favorite of my brother-in-law's. And the last is one of the most delightful cultural explanations of the French-English struggle in Canada, and it is a very short, sort of cartoonish vignette called The Sweater, which was done by the Film Board of Canada in 1980. It's a film by Roche Carrier. Each one of these will bring a great enjoyment to your itinerary and give you a little bit more of an understanding of Canada and what it's like to be a Canadian. Now, one more question here, and this is my favorite. Do you have any personal recommendations for spending some free time in Boston? Now, having grown up in the city and being incredibly fond of it, I think it's, I don't know. I am absolutely in love with the place. But before I get into it, to understand Boston, one needs to appreciate the depth of its history. Revolutionary history is everywhere in the city. You have the Freedom Trail, Paul Revere House, the Battle of Lexington and Concord, which is on the outskirts of the city. And then you can experience things like the Isabel Stewart Gardner Museum, a little bit of an insider point there. You can go to the Christian Science Church and go into the Maporium, another insider. My favorite place is probably the Boston Public Library, which is on Dartmouth Street. And on the facade, it says, built by the people and dedicated to the advancement of learning. It's an absolutely spectacular building. And I highly recommend visiting the Leventhal Map Room, which is inside part of the old part of the library. Now, this library is the 3rd largest library in the United States, second only to the Library of Congress and the New York Public Library. And it is an absolutely wonderful place to go. And of course, there is nothing better than a stroll through the public gardens at any time of day. I hope you enjoy the city, and I hope you've enjoyed today's presentation, and I look forward to hopefully maybe seeing you on board sometime. Take care.